Hello, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Astrology with your friend Gretchen Heidel, full-time astrologer, life coach, Reiki master, and so much more. And I am here tonight live on Facebook and also co-recording for YouTube. Welcome, welcome if you're just joining me. And I'm going to be going over This Week in Astrology. It is May 2023, and there is a lot of astrological energy this week. Last week, not as much. This week, a lot more. We have all kinds of planetary action. We have another eclipse coming. There's a full moon. All this stuff is happening at once. So welcome if you're just joining me live here tonight on Facebook, or if you're watching me at the pre-recorded on YouTube, welcome. And if you see me looking up and down, that is why, because I record on two cameras here. So if you are just joining me live, would love to have you write down your astrological sign, where you're tuning in from, and what's going on. Kelly said, hello, Kelly from Gemini. You missed me last week. Yes, I didn't see you. Welcome, welcome. And if you click on the post on Facebook, and there's up in the upper right hand corner, there's three little dots. If you click on that, there's a drop down menu and it says notify me when this person goes live, and then you won't be able to miss an episode. So welcome, and if you're just joining me on YouTube, welcome. Go ahead and post your astrological sign there. I love to hear where you guys are tuning in from. Diane, hello. Sagittarius, North Troy. Almir, hello folks, welcome. Taurus with Cancer and Sagittarius placements, welcome, welcome. Yes, we have a lot going on this week in astrology, and it starts with today. I mean, Monday, there's some big things that were going on today, astrologically speaking, on Monday, May 1st, and things that are going to be with us for a long time. So, first of all, I'm going to cover today, and I'm just going to jump right in because we have a busy week this week and there's a lot to cover tonight. So first and foremost, Pluto went retrograde today. Now, we all know that Mercury is retrograde right now, and that's in the astrological sign of Taurus. And now Pluto is retrograde. It's the first time Pluto has been retrograde in Aquarius since it first entered Aquarius on March 25th, 2023. Pluto was in Aquarius. Now it is going to be retrograde in Aquarius. Now, just to give you guys perspective, because I keep telling you how slow moving that Pluto is. Pluto is the furthest dwarf planet that's out there. And so its orbit is very, very long, and it's actually oblong. So it's in some signs longer than others, and it's going to be in Aquarius once it fully gets in there, because it's not going to be fully in there even just yet. But once it gets fully into Aquarius, it'll be in Aquarius until the year 2044. So it's a lot of different things. Michelle Lee, hello. Leo, Scorpio rising, Scorpio moon, W. Well, you better listen up because we have a full moon lunar eclipse coming in Scorpio. Melinda, hello. Capricorn, welcome. Kelly said she sent a reminder on Alexa. Perfect. 8 p.m. Eastern time every Monday night. I'm here on Facebook Live, and I'm trying to figure out how to co-record on YouTube Live too, but I have not made it that far yet. All this technology is crazy. When you become an astrologer, then you have to all of a sudden learn all this social media stuff, and it's really involved. You have to kind of learn how to be a writer, and then you also have to learn how to do social media if you're going to be an astrologer. So anyway, getting back to Pluto. So Pluto's going to be retrograde. It started today at 1:09 p.m. Eastern time, May 1st. And it's the first time it's been retrograde in Aquarius. And it's going to be retrograde for quite a while. And so we have many months, okay, like 5 or 6 months of Pluto retrograde. Now, this always happens every springtime. So there is a mythology and a story around Pluto. Pluto was in mythology Hades, the lord of the underworld. And so, basically there was that whole thing where Hades kidnapped Persephone, I think is how you say her name, and dragged her underground with him. And then her dad came by and said, "You cannot do that to my daughter." So he kind of cursed them where they would never live together. So basically, what happens is when Pluto walks the Earth, when he's direct and not retrograde, he walks the Earth in the fall. That's when everything starts to die, right? And that's how we know winter is coming. Okay. But in the springtime, that's when Persephone comes up above ground and Pluto goes retrograde and he goes below ground. And when Persephone comes up, Persephone was one of the harvest goddesses. So everything blooms and all the trees come back to life and the flowers and everything else. And so that's how we know when spring and when winter are coming. Basically, that's how we know. And it's based off of this mythology that it, yes, is wrapped into the planets. The planets are named after Roman mythology, but it's interchangeable with Greek mythology as far as the names. Sometimes the names are a little different. So Hades, the lord of the underworld, is actually Pluto. And when Pluto goes underground, which means he's going retrograde, that's how we know it's officially springtime. Now, we also know that because of the fact that the sun goes into Aries season. So there's kind of like multiple layers of the springtime tale when it comes to Pluto, but that's what happens during his retrograde cycle. Now, it is said in astrology that it's a time when we're supposed to go inward. And so, right, when Hades goes underground, it's a time to go inward within ourselves and sort of think about what is it, because for sure, Pluto is our shadow self. It's all about looking inside of us and maybe even purging or getting rid of things. I mean, Pluto is very much about, can be toxic and can be, when you think of Pluto ruling over things, it's like pestilence and disease and toxicity and all those types of things. That's what Pluto is associated with. Decay, really, decay, if you think about it. So if you think about the metaphor of that, of decay in our life or toxicity in our life or what has gotten out of balance, it's basically about getting rid of things or going inside and sort of purging and figuring out what is going on. Now, here's the thing. Like I said, Pluto is not very fast moving. So it only got, remember I said in March 25th, 2023, just a couple months ago, it went into Aquarius. It's only at 0.21 degrees Aquarius. So it hasn't even gotten to 1 degree. It's zero. It's still stuck at 0 degrees. So see, Pluto doesn't move very fast. So it will return during this retrograde. It's going to return into Capricorn. And so it'll be back into Capricorn on June 11th. And don't worry, I will be here to remind you. But then we're going to return to all this Capricorn stuff that we've been talking about. Now, Pluto is a big, heavy topic because the United States is currently in its Pluto return. Pluto return only happens once, roughly every 248 to 250 years. So the United States has never experienced a Pluto return, where the United States' current time is in Pluto return. And if you guys want to check out, I did a full video about the United States Pluto return on my YouTube channel. If you do the drop down and go down, it'll say United States Pluto return. It has the United States flag on it. So what I had predicted in that video is that we were going to be having financial crisis, financial problems, problems with banking, problems with all kinds of stuff. And in fact, it's not the same as, but it's similar in the time frame of the 1930s when the Great Depression hit. And so, see, we're having a little bit of that in the news. If you've watched the news, we're having some banks starting to collapse and different things are happening. And so that's what I had predicted in my video. So if you want to watch the full length video, and I have the United States chart and all the charts and graphs and everything else. But basically that's what's happening. So Pluto retrograde today, we're going to be having to go back to the drawing board to figure out what the F we are doing here with the financial system. And I've heard, again, I only read headlines. I try not to spend too much time on the news. But it was saying that the debt ceiling, we're about to hit the, and United States might be defaulting on some loans and things. So not to get overly political, but that's basically this Pluto retrograde is definitely going to be caught up in the United States Pluto return. And we're going to have the last and sort of final exact hit of the Pluto return for the US in the fall of 2023. So we're still in it. It's a 2-year long thing. And really, it's even longer than that if you think about Pluto. But when we think about it being exact, it's happening between the year 2022 and 2023. And so this is all going to be taking place. And it's really a lot of stuff, a lot of shenanigans are going on within that. And so remember, it's about purging, getting rid of, and all that kind of stuff. And when we're thinking about what has gotten out of balance in our life, what is toxic, maybe you picked up a toxic habit, or every night you're drinking a little too much, or you're smoking a little too much, or eating a little bit too much junk food, or whatever it is. Pluto retrograde will help us to go and look at our shadow and look at that behavior or that relationship or that thing in your life that got out of balance or whatever, and is asking us to get rid of that. And so that's what Pluto retrograde is. So when we talk about these retrogrades, just a reminder, the planets don't actually travel backwards. It's an optical illusion from the Earth. When the ancients were looking at the planets, they were like, oh, it looks like it's going backwards. But what they didn't realize is because all the planets have different orbits, there's times that they look like they're going forward, and we call that direct. And then there's times it looks like it's going backwards, and that's retrograde. Mercury is currently retrograde. It's only retrograde for 3 weeks. But like I said, every single spring and summertime, as long as Persephone is above ground and above the earth, we are celebrating our harvest and our plants and our flowers and all of the different things. And so that's what the mythology sort of tells us, and it's really fun. A lot of people don't know that's the mythology around this, the difference between spring and summer and fall and winter. Hello everybody, welcome. Ashley said spring cleaning, yes. Hey Barbara from Sydney, Australia, love that. Rosalie, hello. Capricorn from Vermont. Kate, hello, welcome. So yeah, so that happened today. I don't know if any of you felt any heaviness or felt any intensity, because Pluto is probably the most intense. Now here's the thing. Once Pluto goes retrograde and actually starts moving backwards, it kind of gets, yeah, it's retrograde for like 5 months, but it kind of gets like normal. Like you don't really feel it. I feel like these outer planets, when we look at Pluto or Jupiter or Uranus or any of the planets, when they are retrograde for a long time, because a lot of them are retrograde for months and months and months out of the year, you don't really feel it. It's just kind of there. But when we usually feel it the most is when it first goes retrograde or when they go direct. Those two, like I always say, we'll feel this for about 2 weeks and then it'll kind of become normal. So if anybody has felt anything around today that felt a little heavy or a little doom and gloom, or why do I keep checking my news on my phone, or like whatever, that's basically why, because Pluto is very intense. There's no neutrality. When you talk about Pluto, nothing is neutral. Everything tends to be extremes. It's very black and white. It's very extreme. So when that planet goes retrograde, it's always like this. It's always like, ugh, what's going on? I just feel, I just feel a little dark, heavy, or whatever. And yes, there's often a surge of violence around Pluto retrograde too. I mean, it's anytime Pluto's acting up. I always say there's going to be some kind of something, usually a violent, or usually mental health or addictions. Because again, it's something that got out of balance, something that's way out of balance. And so it's usually very extreme. And so, Yes. So, oh, hey, Michelle. Oh, she's tagging Ashley. Great. Ashley said, I felt a heaviness say around 2 p.m. I mean, yeah, this is kind of with us. Hey, Kelly. Leo from New York. Welcome. Oh, no, Diana, you got a flat tire today. See, yeah, I mean, there's some stuff going on. It's stuff. So anyway, that happened today, and that is going to be active for the next 5 months. So here we are in the fall. When Pluto goes direct is when, again, Hades comes above ground, and then all of the leaves die and things decay, and then we start to have winter. So we're gonna have Pluto retrograde for a while now, and this is just signifying that it is May 1st. It is Beltane. It is May Day. It is all the fun things. Beltane, by the way, is celebrated at the halfway point between spring and summer. So that's officially here. So happy May Day and Beltane and all those wonderful markers of time that we have. And it's beautiful. And if you look on the Wiccan calendar, or the pagan calendar, or any of those calendars, this is usually a very good spot because we're halfway between. It feels like we just came into spring. I don't know, but we're halfway there. We're almost to summer. Yes, Ashley said Montpelier's All Species Day was yesterday. There you go. I didn't know about that one. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So anyway, so we have Pluto retrograde today, 1:09 p.m. Eastern time. Earlier than that if you're out on the West Coast. Okay, so then the other thing that we have today is Juno. We have 2 asteroids on the move this week and doing different things. And so basically we have Juno, which is moving into Gemini, and that's happening today, this afternoon at 12, or sorry, this morning, early this morning, right after midnight, 12:51 a.m. Eastern time. Juno is moving into Gemini. Now, Venus is already in Gemini. And who is Juno? What is Juno? Well, Juno is basically an asteroid, and she is a goddess, and she describes who your ideal marriage partner is. So if you ever see Juno in your astrological chart, that is going to describe who you like as a partner. Now, sometimes Juno in your chart will describe the literal sign, like you'll want to marry somebody that's literally that sign, or somebody that embodies traits like that astrological sign. And so with Juno in Gemini, we're looking for a chatty, communicative, lively, social, spunky partner. And so this is a very good time now for a couple weeks. Juno and Venus are going to both be in Gemini. So Venus, that was interesting. Venus is already in Gemini, and Venus will continue to be in Gemini until next Sunday on May 7th. So for just 1 week, we're going to have those two are both going to be in Gemini at the same time. So it's extra Gemini energy. It's about flirting. It's about getting your social on. It's all that kind of good stuff, networking. Now, remember, Mercury is retrograde right now, so I don't really want you guys running out and getting on dating apps or any kind of thing like that, because that's not a great time to meet a new person. But if an ex comes back, or somebody from your past that you already know, a high school sweetheart, a college love, or a former coworker from 20 years ago, the one that got away, if they come back, that's okay, because somebody's coming back. Remember, that's the rule with Mercury retrograde. But Juno is going to be describing our ideal marriage partner, and she is going to be in Gemini all the way until June 22nd. So we have from May 1st to June 22nd, we have Juno and Gemini describing our ideal marriage partner. Now, remember, I'm talking about the transiting Juno, the current Juno, but you also have Juno in your chart full time somewhere in your chart. And you need to know where that is in order to know how that will affect you. But basically, it's something that that could describe, you know, I'm going to just say this. I have my natal Juno is actually in Gemini. So I'm going to have my Juno return this year. And I tend to date people who write me letters and are very chatty, even more talkative than me, which is shocking to a lot of people that know me. I like very talkative partners. I like partners that text me and email me, and like I just like love language is words of affirmation. So I liked having that, and that's very because Mercury is ruled. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So it's about talking and being communicative. I've always dated men that have written me letters. I don't know what it is. Love letters. So, and I tend to fall for that. So Juno's moving into Gemini. And so just since I'm a native Juno and Gemini person, I figured I would just give this to you to describe the energy, so that you know what it's like. And I can see I'm turning my own self red here. Embarrassing to talk about, but that is a thing. Ashley said, oh, wow, nice. She knows nothing about Juno. See, you guys learn every time. All right, Emily said, my partner has a Gemini moon. So yeah, maybe your partner is communicative like that. Yeah, it's a good thing. Let's see. Kelly said, I only dated one Libra, surprisingly. Yours is in Libra? Okay, great. Okay, so, but remember, it's not just the literal sign of where Juno is in your chart. It also describes a person who is similar to those traits. So Kelly said hers natal Juno is in Libra. So you're looking for somebody who really likes to have a partner and really wants to be committed and really wants to be the other half, but is also very sensual and flirtatious and all the Libra traits. So that person doesn't have to be a Libra, but in other words, they have the traits of that sign, if that makes any sense. So hopefully that does make sense. We also today, speaking of Mercury, we also today on May 1st, this is just today, okay? I have more to go. But remember, these Juno is going to be in Gemini all the way until June 22nd. And then we have Pluto, that's going to be retrograde for 5 months. And now we have the sun is formed a conjunction today with Mercury, and that peaked at the top pinnacle height of today at 7:28 p.m. Eastern time. So earlier than that, if you're out on the West Coast or Mountain time. And so this always happens during Mercury retrograde. Whenever Mercury's retrograde, at some point, it's usually around the halfway point of the retrograde. The sun and Mercury meet up. And so why this happens is Mercury travels very close to the sun. It's kind of like this, okay? So it's either in front of the sun or it's behind the sun. And so what happens is Mercury, up until now, this is Mercury, has been in front of the sun, has been moving faster than the sun. And when it goes retrograde, they go like this. And so now it's going behind the sun. So this is that point in the retrograde where they meet up, they hook up basically. It's almost like a little eclipse or a cazimi, sometimes people call it. But it's basically where they meet up, they form that conjunction, and then Mercury falls. So what happens is Mercury is deepening into the retrograde. It's falling behind the sun, and it's now deepening into the retrograde. But it's interesting because around the time of the sun conjunct Mercury, there's always just this real increase of communication, of the travel, communication, mercurial stuff, right? Like talking, emailing, faxing. So today might have been quite busy. A lot of people might have felt busy yesterday and today, and even tomorrow. while those two are hanging out together and they're right on top of each other. And so basically that's what's happened. So a lot of busyness happens, a lot of phone calls, emails, faxes, if we still fax, texting, all the kind of stuff that's going on, talking. Oh my gosh, the to-do list and what do I have to do, and all the million things running through our head. Because remember, Mercury is our mind and our mental processes. And so now it's hooked into the sun, think solar power, and so both of those are kind of making it bigger, and it's increasing a lot. But it's interesting because once Mercury moves and actually falls further behind the sun, it's almost like and it like drops out on us. So as we get into later this week, things might really feel like it's slowing down. I don't like this part of the retrograde because it really, and that's when people are like, how much longer is Mercury retrograde? Like, that's when I start getting people going, is it going to end soon? You know, like that's because it starts to slow down. So it gets really busy and then it's like, you know, and so that's basically what the deal is. So that happened today. The peak of it right before this, this broadcast, 7:28 p.m. was the peak, the height, the pinnacle, the maximum. But remember, it's going to be active yesterday, today, tomorrow, even Wednesday. It's going to be active all that time. So we're going to have a little increase of mercurial energy, which also increases retrograde energy too. Sometimes it causes, you know, computers and somebody got a flat tire today. And like, remember, it's talking, communicating, our mental processes, and how we get around, how we travel, where we're going, planes, trains, automobiles, ferries. Sometimes you'll see in the news, I hope not, but sometimes you see stuff in the news about like, you know, malfunctioning equipment with travel and things like that. So that's the thing. So that's happened today too on Monday. So we had those three things today. And then on Tuesday, June 2nd, May 2nd, Mercury retrograde, May 2nd, tomorrow, we have Pallas Athena on the move. Now, I know that Juno is an asteroid and Pallas Athena is an asteroid, and a lot of astrologers don't talk about asteroids, but I do. They are the goddesses, and I love to have that feminine energy in the house, okay? So it's something that is a good thing. And so Pallas Athena, just to give you guys a sense of how she is and what she does in our chart, where Juno was our ideal marriage partner, our mate, somebody that we're looking for, okay? Pallas Athena is the strategy of war. So I always call her Mrs. Mars so that you guys can remember. Mars is the god of war. He was a masculine energy. And then we have Pallas Athena, or some people call her just Pallas. And so she's the goddess of war. She's the strategy of the war. She's mental processes. She's almost like a chess player. And why is she important? Because she is also where our energy, our drive, and our ambition is. Now, lately, Mars has been in Cancer. Well, so is Pallas Athena. It's almost like having Venus and Juno both being in Gemini at the same time. We've had Pallas Athena and Mars in Cancer at the same time. Now Pallas Athena is moving faster than Mars, and so she's going into Leo. And so that means our strategy is going to be around Leo stuff. So it's almost like if you are a Leo, or if you're a fire sign, you might be feeling this a little bit more, or if you have Leo in your chart somewhere, depends on where it is. Everybody has Leo somewhere. You will be feeling this, and this can give us a little pep in our step. We might be thinking, strategizing, planning, doing all kinds of stuff. She's really, Pallas Athena, it was said that the archetype of Wonder Woman is very Pallas Athena, if that gives you an idea of like what we're talking about here. So when it comes to Leo, we're talking about leadership. Okay, Leo the lion is leadership ability. It's shining. Okay, it's getting out there in the public eye. It is putting yourself up on the world stage and coming out of the closet and kind of, you know, stating your whatever it is you want to state for the world, whether it's for a job interview or for for a presentation or getting an award or wanting to speak or wanting to get out there. Leo is the performer, and also Leo is royalty. So it'll be very interesting. We have Leo coming up and being active. Now it is interesting because the coronation of King Charles is about to happen, and he has Leo rising at 5 degrees, okay? And Pallas Athena is going into Leo. So this is actually going to be happening and spurring up Charles, I guess, to become a king, you know, and to be go through the coronation process during this time. So it'll be very interesting. So Pallas Athena will be almost conjunct his rising sign at that time, and that'll give him a little extra pep in his step, I guess. Good old Charles. Oh, Michelle Lee said, okay, I'm listening. Leo here. You know, we all have Gemini and Leo and Capricorn and Aquarius and all these, and we all have these in our chart. And so, yeah, Darlene said Pluto retrograde. Yeah. Diane said the guy you're reconnecting with is in a show. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so it's good to reconnect with people from the past. Ashley said her application got lost. Oh no, very, very Mercury retrograde. Yes, so if you're into British culture, any kind of stuff like that, he is getting coronated during Mercury retrograde and also Pluto retrograde. And also Biden announced his wanting to run for re-election during Mercury retrograde. So we have a lot of people. Where are the royal astrologers or the presidential astrologers? I'm telling you, they need to call me. They should not be announcing these big things during the retrograde. So so anyway, so Pallas Athena is associated with royalty. In fact, the Queen, Queen Elizabeth, she had Leo moon. Charles had has Leo rising. Prince and is it Edward? No. What was the Queen's husband's name? Prince Edward, right? Or no, Philip. Sorry, Prince Philip. He had Leo rising and Leo moon. A lot of the royals have Leo in their charts, okay? Leo has always been associated with royalty. Yes, somebody said Philip. That's right. Sorry. I just got done watching The Crown, so I've been studying up on a lot of the signs and different things. But a lot of them have Leo through their charts. And so Leo is associated with royalty, and we have that Pallas Athena, but we have it in each and every one of our own charts as well. And so that'll give us a pep in our step, especially if you want to. Leo, when I think of Leo is really about kind of confidence. You know, Leo is ruled by the sun, so it's like shining brightly. So wherever you want to shine your light and shine brightly, and maybe even strategize for like, oh, how do I get ahead? How do I get into the spotlight? That is a very good thing if that's an aspiration that you have. You know, Pallas Athena in Leo can help us. Now, Pallas Athena in Leo can also be egotistical. So we have to watch that a little bit whenever we talk about Leo. That is the thing with Leo. That can be the problem, is being a little too overly confident or a little too overly. And if you remember, Donald Trump actually has Leo rising. His Leo rising is all the way at the end, almost to Virgo. So he's not going to feel the effects of this for a while. And so Juno, like I said, is going to be in Gemini until June 22nd. And then Pallas Athena, we're going to have longer with her. Pallas Athena is going to be in Leo until July 10th. Okay, so it's longer. It's almost 2 full months there of Pallas, or a little over 2 full months of Pallas Athena in Leo. So we'll be really feeling this. It'll be interesting. So Donald Trump will get that closer to July. He'll get that in his chart, where King Charles is getting it right now. See how there's a lot of people that are very public, you know, out in the public eye that have Leo. There's a lot of presidents and rulers and different people that are the head of state or whatever thing it is that have Leo in their chart. So if you personally want to get ahead or need to have some confidence, this can, especially if you're shy, this could really give you a little pep in your step and help you to gain some confidence and to really get in out there and put yourself out there. Leo is really about putting yourself out there into the limelight and to be this and to be the star. Kelly said, I'm a supervisor. Yeah, most Leos really don't like, unless if you're on the if you're a Leo that has a lot of Virgo, like if you were born on the cusp where there was a lot of planets in Virgo at the time you were born, then you might be a shy Leo. But a lot of just Leos are just out there, and they put them and they're in charge and they're leader. Think of the Lion King, okay? So yeah, so that's happening tomorrow. Pallas Athena in Leo, 1:04 p.m. Eastern Time, May 2nd, and then that goes all the way until July 10th with Pallas Athena in Leo. Now, I'm going to tell you, I am panicking a little bit, but I'm going to put it in the show notes and I apologize, but also this week, and I believe it's also tomorrow, but I didn't write it down. I wrote down all these other notes and I forgot to write the date. But I believe Ceres is turning direct. I know Ceres is turning direct this week. And that has been going on. It's been retrograde now for a while. Ceres has been in Virgo all the way since February 4th, and is going to continue to be in Virgo. So we have Ceres moving. We have all kinds of stuff with the asteroids this week are happening. Ceres is going to be direct, which means Ceres retrograde is over. It's been retrograde now for a few months, and we're over the retrogrades, It's something that we're just kind of over it. Ashley said, you're surprised you have no planets in Gemini or Leo. Well, yeah, I mean, that happens. Kathleen, Leo in Vermont. Yeah, with Kathleen, we're talking about Leo right now. Now, on Thursday the 4th, I'm going to go out further into the week. Venus is going to be very active, and now we're getting into the eclipse. So we have an eclipse coming this week too. There's a lot of energy this week, and whenever the planets do this, when they change direction, whether they're going retrograde or they're going direct or they're going into different signs, there's a lot of energy that we're feeling. And it's something that when we feel this much energy, it can be overwhelming. Like, let's say you really like your favorite animal in the world is monkeys, right? Well, what if you had 15 in the room at one time? You see, it's not that monkeys are bad. It's not that monkeys are, like a problem until you have 15 of them. And then all of a sudden there's a lot. I'm not saying there's 15 things this week, but what I am saying is whenever there's a lot of anything, it can feel overwhelming on our planet, like on our day-to-day life. And a lot of people will go, oh, it must be the retrograde, or it must be the full moon. It's all of it. I mean, it really, because we're talking about layers and layers and layers and layers and layers that are going to be activated right now. And so Venus is going to be active as we get close to this eclipse. Diane said 15 turtles could never be a problem. Probably not. I'm sure not. Oh, thank you, Rosalie. She sent me stars. You guys can send me stars if you want. It's a way of sending like a little tip or whatever during the broadcast if you want to support this message in this channel. I love when you guys do that. Thank you so much, Rosalie. Naomi said, yeah, definitely you have a lot going on this week. Well, so when we get into this Venus stuff, so I just said Venus is in Gemini, and on Thursday, May 4th, may the 4th be with you, Thursday, May 4th, Venus is in Gemini is going to form a square with Neptune in Pisces. And then on the day of the eclipse, May 5th, which is Friday, right at just 3 minutes after, so you could really think of it as the same day, Venus is going to form a sextile with Jupiter. Now, the two most expansive planets in our solar system, other than the sun, I'm not talking about the sun, are Neptune and Jupiter. And so Venus is going to be highlighting Neptune and Jupiter. Definitely be careful around that square with Neptune, because especially around love and money. Okay, love and money, those two things, you got to be careful with that. Venus square Neptune can give us like a cloudy, like we're not seeing a person or a financial situation with clear eyes. And then we have Venus is forming a sextile with Jupiter, so it's making it feel big. So it's kind of like if you meet some person who's like a shady salesperson, or, you know, oh, just, you know, you could make millions of dollars. Just give me $1 and you could, you know, like it sounds too good to be true. Definitely don't do it. Mercury's retrograde right now. Anyway, we shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff, but definitely, like if you meet somebody or you're like talking, you know, that can be some shady dealings right there, especially with Venus square Neptune. Neptune is the stock market, so there could be all kinds of weird stuff around this time, around this eclipse. I told you this eclipse is going to be kind of bumpy because, so let's talk about the eclipse, shall we? We have two eclipses. Like you guys know if you watch, and I know a lot of regulars out there are watching, and if this is the first time, welcome, welcome. I love that you're here. Michelle Lee said, oh great, the two things that stress me out the most, love and money, right? Yeah, I mean a lot of people get stressed out by that. So we just had this eclipse, a solar eclipse on April 20th, and that was 2 weeks ago. That was a solar eclipse. And they always come in at least pairs, sometimes trios, but definitely at least pairs, and this one's going to be a pair. Now we're going to have the lunar eclipse. So new moons are solar, full moons are lunar eclipses, and that's how it works. So now we're into the lunar full moon eclipse. It's going to be a penumbral eclipse, which means it's just a partial eclipse. It's not like a total eclipse or anything like that. But remember, that's the astronomy. The astrology of it doesn't matter. Full, halfway, partial eclipse, whatever, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the energy that we experience on the planet. It's going to be in Scorpio. So always during full moons, the sun and the moon are opposite of each other. The sun is in Taurus and the moon is going to be in Scorpio, and 14 degrees Scorpio. So moon 14 degrees Scorpio, sun 14 degrees Taurus, and they're going to be exactly opposing each other. So if your birthday is around this time, you know, around the 5th, May 5th, you will be feeling this in your own astrological chart. So it's a lot of energy, and it's going to be in Scorpio, like I said. Now, the most powerful new moon is Aries, and I've talked a lot about how full moons in Aries, new moons in Aries are very powerful. Now, full moons in Scorpio are very powerful, because if you think about starting something new, well, that's Aries' forte. And if you think about releasing, letting go, and purging, that is Scorpio's forte. And full moons are all about that. Full moons are all about letting go, purging, getting rid of, releasing toxic energy, right? Well, who is Scorpio's ruler? Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, the one that just went retrograde, which I was talking about, how it's the planet of extremes and it's toxicity and it's letting go and it's you know, the planet of all or nothing, you know. I mean, that can be very scorpionic. And so the ruler of Scorpio just went retrograde today on Monday, and then we're going to have this full moon lunar eclipse, which is all about letting go, in the sign, which is all about letting go, which is ruled by the planet that's all about letting go. See what I'm talking about? So this is going to be extra super powerful full moon lunar eclipse, and the peak or the height of that is going to be happening on Friday, May 5th at 1:34 p.m. Eastern time. Earlier than that, if you're on the West Coast, what is that? 10:34 p.m. on the West Coast, or AM if you're on the West Coast. But remember, it doesn't matter. It's going to be felt all day. We're going to be feeling this all week. And remember, around full moons around the eclipse times, there's always a bubble. So there's like a bubble of like a week before and a week after. Like, so when you think of an eclipse, you don't want to just think of it the pinpointed time on Friday. You want to think about this as a whole deal. That's why I said that's why people call it eclipse season, because we're still feeling this new moon, and now we're going to be feeling this full moon. And this full moon is going to be kind of complicated because there's a lot of planets right now in Taurus. So not only is this full moon opposing the sun, this full moon is going to oppose Mercury retrograde, 3:15 a.m. Then it's going to oppose the sun at 1:34 p.m. And then it's going to oppose Uranus at 8:13 p.m. I would absolutely say that there's probably going to be an earthquake or some kind of a thing around this eclipse, a volcanic eruption, an earthquake, some kind of thing, because it's going to be associated with Uranus and Mercury. This full moon's like fully loaded full moon. And then we have this weird, shady love financial thing going on in the background, with Venus forming a square with Neptune and then highlighting Jupiter. Now, if Venus was just highlighting Jupiter, I'd be like, oh, that's good luck and good fortune with love and money. That could be great. But I can't say that because we have the alignment. Something about this is fishy. Something about this is shady. So read between the lines or read the fine print. Make sure if you have any kind of opportunity at the end of this week that you fully understand what that deal is. And even then, I tell you to hold off and wait, because it's about releasing, letting go, purging, and getting rid of. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, the lord of the underworld. He just went retrograde. He just went back in his cave, and so there's a lot of things here that this is almost like a full moon on steroids, basically. So there's a lot of contentious energy with this full moon. I hate to say it. And I will tell you just before the broadcast, and I didn't pull out his chart because we won't have time. I just have so much to go over today. I didn't pull out his chart to look at it specifically, or I'm not going to have it on air, in other words, but I looked at it. Joe Biden is a Scorpio. He has many planets in Scorpio as well. And I told you, he just announced re-election this week. I looked at his chart, and this particular eclipse is not going to be very nice to him. His Mars is at 12 degrees Scorpio, and this particular full moon is going to be 14 degrees Scorpio. So this eclipse full moon and is going to be on his Mars. So that somebody's angry at him. There's a lot of people, I think, right now that are angry at him or whatever. And there's a lot of contention going on. Joe is feeling, President Biden is feeling very much stressed and pressured right now. But also there's a health thing in his chart brewing. It's a different health thing that's brewing for Donald Trump. Donald Trump has a health thing in his chart. And now we have a health thing in Joe Biden's chart. So this is not going to be a fun eclipse for him. I will just say that. I did look because I know he's a Scorpio, and I don't mean to bring politics into it. I just like to look at famous people's charts. Like I said, I looked at King Charles' chart and all different kinds of people's charts. I have a little addiction to charts. I keep looking at them even when I'm off from work. I can't help myself. I'm the weirdo that watches movies and I'm like, are they a Sagittarius? And I'm like looking up their astrological sign. It happens. Karen said, I love the word scorpionic. Yes, I live in a house full of Scorpios. Oh, wow. Yes, absolutely. So you might be feeling this on Friday. You might want to, if you're in a house full of Scorpios, Karen, you might want to go someplace else for the night and just kind of leave, because that might be, Liz, is it not a good time to accept a contentious divorce settlement? I mean, I can't say that. Because remember, we're ending something, we're releasing something, we're wrapping something up. I mean, Mercury is retrograde right now, so but I mean, if this is going to help you to let go, help you to move on, because that's what this is all about. All this energy is about releasing, letting go, purging, getting rid of. Now, technically, remember, we are in the new moon until we go over the eclipse and the full moon. So this week we're still in the new moon to full moon cycle, which is about accepting new things. So again, if you want to accept something new up until the full moon, and then after we get to May 5th at 1:34 p.m. Eastern time, then you're in the full moon time. So that's releasing, letting go, purging, and getting rid of. So I hope that I wasn't confusing there, but that's basically what the deal is with that. And so if you are Scorpio, 14 degree Scorpio or Taurus, you will be in ground zero of this thing. If you are another one of the fixed signs, so Leo and Aquarius, you will also be feeling this energy. It's there's a lot of energy. If you look in your astrological chart, if you look around, a lot of you guys have your chart and you like to have your chart in your hand. By the way, I do sell charts. If anybody ever wants to get their natal birth chart done, I do sell those. And so if you look at and see anything that's 14 degrees in any sign, that's going to affect you. And so basically that's what the deal is. So we are going to definitely be feeling a lot of this energy, and we are going to be feeling, we all get it somewhere. So wherever Scorpio is in your chart, that's where the sort of ending, completion, the wrapping up, the finishing is going to take place. Now, if you say, Gretchen, I've never seen my chart before, I just love listening to you and I learn things, but I don't really know what my chart looks like. Well, think about Scorpios. Do you know Scorpios? Do you get along with Scorpios, or do you not get along with Scorpios? Like Karen said, I have a whole house full of Scorpios. She obviously gets along with Scorpios. So this full moon, if you get along with Scorpios, might not be too bad. But if Scorpio is a problem area in your chart for you, or an incompatible sign with you, you might be feeling a little grumpy. Aries will be feeling this too, because Aries and Scorpios, I feel astrologically, are like cousins. So Aries will be feeling this too. Or if you're a water sign, Pisces or Cancers, you guys will be feeling this too. See, there's a lot of signs that will be feeling this full moon lunar eclipse. Now remember, it literally is where the sun and the moon are cutting each other off for just a moment. I always say it's like rebooting a computer. So where is the reboot? And remember, sometimes computers come back on and sometimes they don't when we try to reboot it, because usually we try to reboot computers because there's a problem. So we're getting a reboot in this area. Now, I told you guys, and this was our last broadcast, I highlighted Alec Baldwin's chart, because I was talking about how he got a big reboot and he got a big renewal in his area of life. Now that was for a new moon solar eclipse, so that was a little gentler and a little kinder. This is about what do we need to release or what do we need to let go of, and that is something that's a little bit different. So this is a super full moon on steroids, and there's a lot of it. There's a lot of astrological, because it's not just the full moon, but it's also the eclipse. So now we're really getting a reboot, and I always say, just use this information as, what do I need to maybe let go of? Like if you have something that doesn't work out and it comes up this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever, just know that the universe is releasing you from that and letting you, kind of releasing and letting you go from that situation. Sometimes things can be painful with eclipses, but in the long run, it might be better. I mean, I know sometimes we don't like hearing that, but it is, or maybe we're just getting some kind of like, oh, I need to stop eating this food or drinking this type of alcohol, or, stop smoking tobacco, or all those kinds of things. So it's about releasing and letting go. I always say there can be good things you can let go of, like debt, or like extra weight if that's what you want to do, or whatever you have too much of. I mean, that it can be a thing that it could be releasing some, or a friend that is kind of being crappy to you, or somebody or a spouse who's not treating you right. Somebody said a divorce on here. Yeah, you might want to let that go. And so any kind of thing. So sometimes when we think of letting go of something, we think of it as being a bad thing, but sometimes those things help us and they release us from something so that we don't have to be burdened and weighed down by that thing anymore. So yeah, so Ashley said reboot what? So reboot, in other words, you're getting a reboot in whatever area Scorpio is in your astrological chart, and for everybody it's different. I can't give you a one-size-fits-all answer because eclipses are super complicated, and it's always like a mixed bag like that usually. It's always like, is it a reboot? Is it positive, negative? We don't know. But that's basically what, I've had really positive things happen from eclipses. Like I have had friendships reboot themselves, like where a friend was estranged and walked out of my life or something and then came back, and so I've had positive things. It doesn't, but usually lunar eclipses are more difficult because you're just really letting something go. I have to pick my calendar up because it just fell on the ground. Oh, Sarah, thank you so much. You said best thing I ever did having you do my chart. Oh, thank you. That's awesome. And Ashley said, do my charts include stuff like Juno? Yes. My charts do. Well, I will say my readings do. The written charts, the reports don't. I should make that, because astrologers, we keep calling everything a chart. That's kind of what the deal is. So I don't know. It's something that is a thing. So again, we're rebooting the computer, and that is the time to burn or destroy your new moon manifestation list, 1:34 p.m. or after. Friday, you can do it Saturday, doesn't matter. Try to do it close, not before, if you can. Though, like I say, if that's the only time you can do it, then do it before. But it's better to do it after, so maybe Friday night. Burn or destroy your new moon manifestation list. You're releasing, you're letting go, you're saying thank you. I always read by the way, people ask me all the time, I always read my list again as I'm releasing it, letting it go. And what you're doing is, you ever hear the expression, let go and let God, or let go and let your angels take care of something? That's what you're doing symbolically by burning the list. I've had people say, why would you burn the list? Because you're just like letting it go into the ethers, into the universe, and allowing, the angels, your spirit guides, your guardians, whoever it is, just letting it go symbolically and leaving it in their hands. And then that's it. You're done. And so Andrea said 1:34 p.m. Friday or later, writing it down so I remember it this time. Yes, exactly. Letting it go, let go and let God, or let go and let your angels work, and you're not in charge anymore. So you're just letting it go. You did all the work around it, and you can just be done with it. And just, I feel like that's so symbolically so important. And if you really want to let go of something, like let's say you want to burn old love letters, or you want to burn, you can do that during this time too. Anything that you really want to let go of, write your ex, a letter and then burn it. You don't want to give it to them, just burn it, just as a symbolic gesture. And so, so it's a thing. Kate said, would you recommend not making, I definitely would not make moon water during an eclipse. No, it's too complicated, because there's a rebooting, and there's in fact, many magic based, like paganism and Wiccans, often say not to do magic work during eclipses, because eclipses are complicated. Okay, so it's not like a straight up kind of thing. I personally would not, but it's not an exact science. If you really want to, you could, but I personally wouldn't. So and then I'm not going to go into a big long thing about this, because I'm gonna actually talk about it next week, because there's a little bit less energy next week. Venus is going on Sunday, May 7th. Venus is going to move into Cancer, the astrological sign of Cancer. So it's just like what I was talking about with Juno. Juno's who describes our ideal marriage partner. Venus is our expression of love and how we experience love. So we will, in that layer, we will move out of the Gemini, and then we will move into home and family and to the Cancerian world. And so that's basically happening on Sunday at 10:25 a.m. Eastern time. But I'm going to cover that more next week because we're almost at an hour and I don't want to go too much longer. But that's basically what the deal is. So yeah, so I hope I got to everything. We have a lot this week. There's a lot going on. Ashley wants to know what Saturday looks like. Saturday is, I mean, it's busy and we still have the reverberation of the eclipse. There's nothing big astrologically that day on Saturday, but it is basically a lot. Okay, so I keep dropping my calendar here. Naomi. Okay, so Naomi's already into questions. I love it. You guys know me already. Yes, I'm going to be answering 1 or 2 questions here. Not many because, like I said, I don't want the broadcast too long. Thank you, Rita. Said very insightful. Naomi said, is it possible to pull a card for an interview? Oh, is this a job interview? Naomi, it's Mercury retrograde and we're letting go of things. I know. Sometimes life, you know, we need to pay our electric bill, and I get that. So let's say, what does Naomi, okay, you had a card, try to fly out there. This is the Scepter card, which is try again and you will succeed. This basically, the base of this card is Mars, the god of war. It means that there was a fight. Scepter was given to kings and queens for a job well done, but you had to really fight for it. And that one just kind of flew out there. So maybe you're on the, you know, 2nd, 3rd, 4th interview in the process. There's a lot of maybe like, I feel like you have to really work for this interview. In other words, Naomi, they're putting you through the ringer here. It's interesting. Did you try to get into this company before? Because I almost feel like for some reason this reminds me of something that like maybe you've done in the past, or you had interest in it before, or there was some kind of a correlation with this. So I don't know if Naomi, you're probably typing, but I almost feel like there was some kind of a thing like maybe you had your eye on this job before or something. Like this feels like it came, you had wanted it already. There's a lot of kind of, yeah, you had interest in it before. That's what I was getting. I feel like it's almost like we're revisiting it, which actually could be a good Mercury retrograde thing because you already like kind of were interested. Yeah, I feel like you're coming back around to it. There's been a lot of changes in the management there, or I almost feel like a shuffling of higher ups and people like kind of shifting departments, or maybe quitting and new ones coming in. But there feels like there's a lot of like shifting around. So it's almost like a revamping of this place in some ways. Like some of the management, like I feel like is like shuffling or going around. So, I think you're going to get this. In the long run, it's saying this is the card of a long-term goal. Star of Magi is always like, means that you're going to achieve. It's not easy. Magi were the 3 wise men that found, you know, Jesus through navigating the stars. This is not a religious card, but it's a card about a journey. They had no GPS, no flashlights. They were in the desert. There was a lot of stuff. So they had to really like navigate. I almost feel like as if you're going to have to talk to like even maybe 2 or more people. Like maybe you started interviewing with one person and then you get shifted over to another person. So Naomi, I feel like you're really going to have to be like kind of quick on your feet in like, it's like, oh, you talked to Mike last week, but this week you're going to talk to Betty Sue or something. And it's like, who's that? And maybe you don't know who they are. So I just feel like you have to like think quick on your feet. if that helps. So that way, maybe you already, like if it were me, I would like go to the website and like maybe pull up who are the people that you have to kind of like, just so you kind of know who you're going to be maybe talking to, because they're going to change it up on you. That's tricky. It's tricky. I think you're going to get it. I think it's good. It looks good. But it is, there's some trickiness with it. Good luck. I hope that helps. Okay. All right, Diane. Diane said, can you tell me anything about your love life? You've been through the ringer, I feel like. I don't know why, but I just feel like you have, I don't know if you've had a breakup or there's some kind of a thing with a car. There's a lot of, a little, I'm sorry to use this word, but a little chaotic. There's some chaotic energy around you with love life. So there was a car, there was something with a car. I don't know, a lot. There's a lot. I almost feel like there was a breakup, because you're getting this card, which is an ending and there's a new beginning, but this has to end first. Remember, we have an eclipse. It's almost like the eclipse, you know, an ending and a new beginning. But we don't know what the new beginning is just yet, because it's still working. Yeah. And then there's something with authority. Somebody in authority was, I don't know, girl. There was a lot going on. Oh no, con artist was living with you for 4 months. Okay, see, yeah, there's something going on there. Did you have to call the law? Because sometimes that authority card can be the law. Sorry. So what does she need to know? I feel like you need to spend a little time. First of all, Mercury's retrograde right now. I know you're reconnecting with someone because you put that in the notes earlier, but I would hold off, because it is even saying you need to spend time alone. And if you look at this picture, this person is like painting a picture, or like just, you know, kind of getting into their artwork or their creative work, but like, see how they're by themselves, they're alone. And so I would spend some time. I'm just feeling like you need to like recuperate, because I feel like your energy is kind of like whoosh, 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 whoosh. Like your aura feels like it's like kind of hemorrhaging outside of you too much. Sometimes, by the way, and Diane, I like to talk about people, talk to people about something that's happening with them, because I feel like it helps other people on the broadcast watching. So if anybody has ever experienced times where light bulbs are blowing out, electricals dimming, you know, watch batteries are dying, like different things, you're affecting electricity, but you're affecting electricity in not such a good way. And I feel like that happens a lot of times when we get super ungrounded. So Diane, I would talk about grounding yourself and getting back in your body, especially if you're having any kind of things like that happening where electricity is being weird, you know, can even affect your car, can affect, you know, you might be thinking, oh, that's Mercury retrograde. But if you constantly are having like light bulbs blowing out around you, or like different things like that, there's something going on with your energy, because I'm feeling like it's spiking and shooting out. And so I would kind of gather it back in so that you can literally get grounded again, and maybe do some prayer, yoga, meditation, maybe even gardening, getting out, getting your feet touching the earth, like with no shoes on, bare feet, touching the planet. All those things can help with that. Yeah, Ashley, that used to happen to me my whole life too. Ashley said that's happened to her until I learned how, because what was really happening was that's actually can give you like, you know, nervous problems. So you want to make sure that that you're able to do that. Oh no, he's on probation. Oh my gosh, this guy, you got to get rid of this one. Get rid of that one. Yeah. So my advice to you is to be alone for a while, and to regather your energies. And so and to put the pause button. Mercury's going to be retrograde until Mother's Day, May 14th. And so why don't we put a pin in it, and then like maybe use a couple weeks to purge, get rid of, you know, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, he's been gone for a few months, but your energy is still affected. I'm just telling you, your energy is still affected. So I want you to make sure that you, you ground yourself, because that can cause physical problems sometimes. It is saying that potentially in a different location you could find love. Like if you're thinking of moving to a new town, or starting a job in a new town, or going into a new state, or some other thing, like moving out of your little area, your little bubble. So, you know, I know that you said you live in I think you said Troy, like, so maybe getting outside of that area, going to, I don't know, a different town, or a different, you need to get out of that little bubble that you're in. It is saying to move. And literally this can be about moving your physical body as well. And then you will find some love. But Andrea, yes, love her. She said, you got to change your energy or you'll wind up in the same situation. Yeah, basically, yes. Yes, exactly. And so getting regrounded, getting into a state of love, getting back into your body, praying, meditating, all that. Remember, there's no rush. And if anything, if we're looking for love and we're feeling desperate, like I have to have it, I've been alone for as a couple of people wrote, I've been alone for a long time. Okay, yep. But if you go out searching with that vibe, it's almost going to just repel it away from you. And so it's got to be a more relaxed, like sit back energy, like, oh yeah, alone, not alone, doesn't matter. Loving yourself, getting grounded in your body, all of those things is the thing that attracts, okay? It's not that I have to have, because people can smell it. It's like a desperation. They can smell that. So yeah, I mean, it's all, and it's, look, none of us want to be alone, right? I mean, that's a thing. So, it's really just about regrounding yourself, and it doesn't have to take a long time. People think sometimes that you have to take a really long time to do that. That's not true. It can be done pretty quickly, but I would work on getting back into, and I would for sure wait until after Mercury's no longer retrograde on May 14th at 11:17 p.m. Eastern time. I would wait until that's over. And especially not near eclipse time either, where we're supposed to be releasing, letting go, getting rid of. My goodness, no. All right, so I hope that helps everybody tonight. And I am going to pull one card, a collective card. What do we need to know? I'm going to use the Saints and Angels cards from Doreen Virtue. What do we need to know for this week? We have a lot of energy, people. We have a lot of energy. Okay, we have Pluto Retrograde started today on May 1st. We have Juno going into Gemini. We had the Sun conjunct Mercury all today, May 1st. And then tomorrow, May 2nd, we have Pallas Athena going into Leo. We have Ceres turning direct. Ceres retrograde is over. Then we have Venus doing some shady stuff with Neptune. That's Thursday and Friday. And then we also have the full moon lunar eclipse taking place on Friday, May 5th, 1:34 p.m. And then on Sunday, we have Venus going into Cancer. Just a couple things, just a little bit. So we need to ground ourselves for sure. Okay, so when I pulled these cards, I got two cards that came out at the same time. We got Safe Travels. That for sure could be Mercury retrograde. And the card of Believe. Hildegard of Bingen is Believe, and she's the saint. Okay, so these are Saints and Angels card. Saint Christopher is Safe Travel. So if any of you are traveling, even if you have to drive to the store, whatever, Be safe in your travels. That's Saint Christopher. And it is said that Saint Christopher actually had baby Jesus on his shoulders. These, you know, again, it's not a religious broadcast, but it's more about speaking in metaphor that you're going to be guarded. And I always say prayers to Saint Christopher when I'm traveling. I kind of cherry pick religion, whatever works. It's fine. I don't think there's anything when it comes to divine love. And also the card of believe, you know, Hildegard of Bingen, right? She was pretty cool. She was in the 1300s. And she was known for using herbs to heal the body, crystals, all kinds of things. So that's kind of cool, but also believe in yourself. You know, we have Pallas Athena moving into Leo, and we need to know to believe in ourselves, especially when Pluto's going retrograde. We have the full moon, you know, things. Believe it's going to be okay. Even if something is taken away from us, or there's some kind of thing that we have to release, let go. It's kind of like, do you have to let go of that job that's paying you $1,000 to take a job that's paying you $10,000? Okay, yeah, but you might not know about the $10,000 yet until you let go of the first part of it. See, so remember, sometimes when we let go of things, it's fortuitous. It's positive, it's good. And so we need to lean into that. Thank you everybody who sent me the stars. I got stars from Rosalie and Andrea. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate you guys watching and hanging out with me on Monday night. And if you want to know more about your personal astrological chart, definitely know that you can send me a text or send me a DM, and we could schedule a time. I have all my pricing and everything's on my website, GretchenHeidel.com. And make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I am trying to get 1,000 subscribers in 2023. And so and thank you to everybody who's already subscribed. So thank you, everybody. Lots of love. Mwah. Happy lunar eclipse. All right. Take care. Bye.